I had recently heard someone say, get with the times. And it really struck me because I thought, no, you do not get with the times. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. I hope that this touches you. And as always, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And if you can, contribute to my ministry in the Buy Me a Coffee link below. So, what I was thinking about this statement, get with the times, I thought, how wrong is anyone who tells us to get with the times. Because as we know, the times continue to change and morph, and we are expected to follow by the culture. But I have several verses here that remind us we do not get on with the times. As a matter of fact, if the times are telling you that you are off, rest assured that you are probably more inclined to be the one lined with Christ. I think about this verse in Second John. It's just I think it's the shortest book in the whole Bible. It's 3 paragraphs, 4. And in here it says, anyone who is so progressive as to not remain in the teaching of Christ does not have God. But whoever remains in the teaching has the Father and the Son. So in this Bible verse, it talks specifically about don't be so progressive. And we're looking today at IVF, AI, all these things that we have control over. Picking our child's gender, picking our child's eye color, looking for the traits they have, which will make them a musician or tall or an athlete or whatever. So we think these are good things. As a matter of fact, my husband has a Christmas tree lot, and I had some sweet customers come in, and one man was injured in war, and he will never be able, supposedly, to produce children of his own. He says he has the biological material in there, but he just doesn't have enough. So they're going to turn to IVF. Of course, it wasn't an appropriate time or place, and we had other customers lined up. But I thought, how wrong are you to go against God's ways, to try to overcome your problems by doing something that is progressive and it goes against God? Now, I am not judging, because so many people have these problems that they turn to, or that they're trying to resolve. But we cannot go against God by using things that are so-called progressive. I think of a young man I saw recently on another podcast, Milo Yiannopoulos, and he is going blind. And he said, how tempting it'll be, because in the next 5 or 6 years, I will be fully blind. And when they offer these chips to go into our brain to give me back my eyesight, it will be very tempting. But then you are also surrendering your brain. You are giving yourselves over to others again to avoid a cross. So God bless him, because he recognizes the power of using those progressive techniques. But that wasn't the only place it was in here. I am looking again, it says about us following the culture. It said, I wish to remind you, this is in Jude, 1 Jude, starting with verse 5. I want to remind you, although you know all things, that the Lord, who once saved a people from the land of Egypt, later destroyed those who didn't believe. The angels, too, who did not keep to their own domain, but deserted the proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains, in gloom, for the judgment of the great day. Likewise, Sodom, Gomorrah, and the surrounding towns, which in the same manner as they indulged in sexual promiscuity, practiced unnatural vice, served as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. It goes on, but these verses are telling us that when we do things that go against God, we're going to go further and further and further and further away from God's truth. They're progressing with the times. And anyone who stays here with Christ, with truth, definitely looks out of place and definitely is going to be mocked. But that's actually where we should remain. Imagine how much pulling away from God and truth and the center we have come in the 2,000 years since Christ has been here. So again, this Bible is full of places that tell us, please do not keep up with the times. Please stand firm on the gospel truths. In Romans 12, here it says, do not conform yourself to this age. Don't conform yourself. You are going to be out of place. You are not going to fit in. It is going to be awkward, but he's telling us to do that. Every generation has had to do so. And I do argue that the further away we are from the days of Christ, so basically as time passes, the harder it is, because look at the styles. Things that used to be bathing suits, dresses that used to be short bathing suits that covered up thighs, are now what the girls are wearing to homecoming, and their girl parts are hanging out if they walk too far. And we look at cleavage. We used to have to remain up to our necks, and now it plunges, and we have naked outfits in public eye, like what Kanye had his so-called wife dress naked on the platform. It has come so far. They have gone on with the times. So here when it says, do not conform yourself to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and pleasing and perfect. I have this argument with my children. My own daughters say, well, I'm sure God doesn't mind. He knows, he understands what we're going through. And I said, and I'll say again, how arrogant that we expect God to change with our whims rather than punishing us instead of us conforming to his. Guys, we have got to daily renew our minds. That's why it's imperative to keep your face in the Bible. Pray for me, because I used to read it for an hour every day. And now that I go to the daily mass for the past 5 years, I've not read daily in the Bible, but I am reading. And I wish to renew my mind more often, because as we grow, as we mature, as we go through situations and we reread words that we'd read before, all of a sudden they do seem new, because God is the one renewing our minds. He needs us to, so that we understand how to operate in this world of which we are in, but we are not a part of. So I hope this helps. If you don't feel awkward, you're probably too in line with the culture. If you do feel a little bit outsiderish, you're probably doing God's will. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon, and thanks for watching this Bacon Bit. And remember always to live your life sunny side up.